The cost of progress, technology, ethics, and the future of humanity. Every generation believes it stands at the peak of human progress, surrounded by intelligent machines, instant communication, and limitless information. Modern society assumes that advancement is synonymous with improvement. Yet beneath the surface of innovation lies an uncomfortable question. What if the very tools designed to save humanity are slowly eroding what it means to be human? The cost of progress is rarely visible at the moment of its triumph, but history teaches that every leap forward casts a long ethical shadow. Introduction: Progress as a double-edged sword. The cost of progress, technology, ethics, and the future of humanity is a critical examination of humanity's relentless pursuit of advancement. The book challenges the long-held assumption that progress is inherently beneficial and instead argues that every technological breakthrough carries ethical, social, psychological, and environmental costs. While technology has transformed human life in unprecedented ways, improving health, communication, productivity, and comfort, it has also introduced new forms of inequality, alienation, surveillance, ecological destruction, and existential risk. The central thesis of the book is clear: progress without ethical reflection is dangerous. Technology evolves faster than moral frameworks, leaving humanity unprepared to handle its consequences. The book does not reject progress outright, but calls for a redefinition of progress, one that places human dignity, responsibility, and long-term survival at its core. Chapter 1: Defining Progress: From Survival to Acceleration. The book begins with questioning what humans mean by progress. Historically, progress was linked to survival, finding food, shelter, and safety. Over time, it became associated with comfort, efficiency, wealth, and power. The author traces progress through key phases: agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, digital revolution, and artificial intelligence era. Each phase solved existing problems while creating new ones. The author emphasizes that modern progress is no longer about meeting basic needs, but about constant acceleration. Faster communication, faster production, faster consumption. Speed itself has become the goal. This obsession with acceleration, the author argues, prevents society from pausing to assess consequences. Chapter 2: Technology as a Tool and a Force. Technology is often described as neutral, a tool that depends on how humans use it. The book challenges this belief by arguing that technology is not merely a passive instrument, but an active force that reshapes behavior, values, and social structures. Examples discussed include smartphones altering attention spans and relationships, social media reshaping identity and self-worth, algorithms influencing decision-making. Technology does not just serve human intentions, it reprograms them. Once a technology is introduced, society reorganizes itself around it, often without consent or awareness. Chapter 3: The Illusion of Control. One of the book's core arguments is that humans overestimate their control over technological systems. While humans create technology, complex systems quickly exceed human understanding. The chapter explores automated financial markets, artificial intelligence decision-making, infrastructure systems too complex to shut down. The author warns that humanity increasingly relies on systems it cannot fully explain or govern. This creates a dangerous imbalance where control is assumed but not real. Chapter 4: Economic Growth and Human Value. Progress is measured through economic growth, GDP, productivity, efficiency. This chapter critiques the reduction of human worth to economic output. Key issues include automation replacing jobs, gig economy exploitation, productivity pressure, and burnout. The author argues that technology-driven economies prioritize efficiency over well-being. Humans are increasingly treated as components in systems rather than as individuals with intrinsic value. Progress, when defined purely in economic terms, becomes dehumanizing. Chapter 5. Inequality in the Age of Technology. Technology promises equal opportunity, but often delivers greater inequality. This chapter examines how technological progress benefits a small elite while marginalizing others. Topics include digital divide, wealth concentration, access to education and healthcare technologies. The author explains that those who control technology control power. As technological systems become more complex and expensive, access becomes restricted, reinforcing existing social hierarchies. Chapter 6. Surveillance and the End of Privacy. One of the most alarming costs of progress discussed in the book is the erosion of privacy. Surveillance technologies, once limited to governments, are now embedded in everyday life. The chapter explores data collection, facial recognition, behavioral tracking. The author argues that privacy is not just a personal preference, but a foundation of freedom. When individuals are constantly observed, behavior changes. Creativity, dissent, and autonomy suffer. Progress has created a world where convenience is exchanged for constant monitoring. Chapter 7. Social Media and the Fragmentation of Reality. This chapter examines how digital platforms have transformed human interaction and perception of reality. Key themes include echo chambers, misinformation, validation culture. Social media platforms are designed to maximize engagement, not truth. Algorithms amplify emotional content, polarizing societies and undermining shared reality. The author argues that technological progress has weakened democratic discourse by replacing dialogue with performance. Chapter 8. Artificial Intelligence and Moral Responsibility. Artificial intelligence represents one of the most profound technological advancements in human history. The book treats AI not as science fiction, but as a present ethical challenge. Topics include bias in algorithms, autonomous weapons, decision-making without accountability. The author raises a critical question: who is responsible when machines make harmful decisions? As humans delegate authority to machines, moral responsibility becomes blurred. Chapter 9. Human Identity in a Technological World. Technology does not just change what humans do, it changes who they are. This chapter explores how identity is shaped by digital environments. Issues discussed: online personas, comparison culture, loss of authenticity. The author argues that constant connectivity creates fragmented identities. People curate versions of themselves for different platforms, losing a sense of coherent self. Chapter 10. The Psychological Cost of Progress. Progress promises convenience and happiness, yet mental health issues are rising globally. This chapter examines anxiety and depression, attention disorders, and loneliness in connected societies. The author argues that technology overstimulates the brain while isolating the individual. Human psychology evolved for slower, more communal environments, not constant digital engagement. Chapter 11. Education in the Age of Technology. Technology has transformed education, offering access to information, but also undermining deep learning. The chapter discusses shortened attention spans, information overload, decline of critical thinking. The author warns that easy access to information does not equal understanding. Without ethical and philosophical education, technical knowledge becomes dangerous. Chapter 12. Environmental destruction and technological progress. One of the most visible costs of progress is environmental damage. Topics include climate change, resource extraction, electronic waste. The author argues that technological solutions often treat symptoms rather than causes. True progress must address consumption patterns, not just efficiency. Chapter 13, Bioengineering and the Ethics of Enhancement. Advances in biotechnology raise profound ethical questions about what it means to be human. The chapter explores genetic editing, human enhancement, designer babies. The author warns that altering human biology risks creating new forms of inequality and moral confusion. When enhancement becomes available only to the wealthy, humanity itself becomes divided. Chapter 14, War, Technology, and Distance from Violence. Modern warfare is increasingly technological, reducing human presence while increasing destruction. Key issues include drones, cyber warfare, autonomous weapons. The author argues that distance from violence lowers moral barriers. When killing becomes remote and automated, ethical responsibility weakens. Chapter 15, Democracy in the Digital Age. Technology has reshaped politics and governance. This chapter examines manipulation through data, algorithmic influence on elections, decline of informed citizenship. The author argues that democracy depends on shared truth and informed debate, both undermined by digital systems optimized for engagement and control. Chapter 16, The Myth of Technological Salvation. Many believe technology will solve the problems it creates. The book challenges this belief. The author argues technology cannot replace ethical judgment. More technology is not always the solution. Human values must guide innovation. Blind faith in technological salvation allows avoidance of responsibility. Chapter 17, Redefining Progress. In this pivotal chapter, the author proposes a new definition of progress. True progress should include human well-being, ethical responsibility, environmental sustainability, long-term thinking. Progress should slow down when necessary and prioritize wisdom over speed. Chapter 18, Responsibility of Scientists and Innovators. The book emphasizes that creators of technology carry moral responsibility. The chapter calls for ethical education, accountability frameworks, public dialogue. Innovation without responsibility, the author argues, is negligence. Chapter 19, Individual Choice in a Technological World. While systems shape behavior, individuals still have agency. This chapter explores digital minimalism, conscious consumption, ethical awareness. Small choices, when multiplied, can influence larger systems. Chapter 20, The Future of Humanity. The final chapter looks ahead. The future is not predetermined by technology, but shaped by human values. Possible futures include a controlled, unequal, automated world, a sustainable, ethical, human-centered society. The choice, the author insists, remains with humanity. Conclusion: progress with wisdom. The Cost of Progress concludes with a powerful message. Progress without wisdom leads to self-destruction. Technology is not the enemy, but unexamined advancement is. The book calls for ethical reflection, collective responsibility, courage to slow down. Humanity must decide whether progress will serve life or replace it.